Hi everybody, thanks for watching my channel. Please be sure to check the description for my intro and a little bit of what I'm about. And it's probably a good idea to just check it out before if you haven't already seen my channel before, to just give it a look and see what I'm about and everything. Um, so I'm a woman of so very many passions, and one of my passions is Waldorf education. I went, I'm what people in the Waldorf community call a lifer, and I went to Waldorf from kindergarten through 12th grade, and 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 ever since then have had um, quite a passion for it. And I'm sorry, excuse me, so make sure I have the right angle. Okay. Had a passion for it and have had a dream to make it to more accessible to a more diverse amount of people. And so that's sort of a dream of mine. Since my YouTube channel has kind of expanded a bit and more viewers have come and everything, I thought, well, this might be a really good opportunity to talk about my experience with Waldorf education and make a playlist concerning Waldorf education. So, for those of you who don't know what Waldorf education is, it began, I believe, in, well, that's so funny. Like, I know, I know Rudolf Steiner spoke German, but I always get mixed up if it began in Austria or Germany. And I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna put the real info in the description. As I said, you gotta read my intro here, because it's my YouTube channel is far from perfect. But his name, the man who started the education, is called Rudolf Steiner, and the factory workers, a friend of his who was a factory worker, wanted Rudolf Steiner to create education for the children of the factory workers, and I believe that's basically how it started. And Rudolf Steiner was an intuitive, psychic, empath, and just all around very spiritual man. And he had a lot of inspirations and insights into the development of human beings on a spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as physical way levels. And his sort of philosophy or his teachings or his inspirations are things that he passed down through his writings. It's called anthroposophy. There's a huge following all around the world. I am not myself an anthroposophist. I have definitely learned a lot from Rudolf Steiner's inspirations and ideas, and have been quite inspired by him for years and years and years. So, that's basically how World of Education started. he created a curriculum through his inspirations and his deep insights into the development of human development on all these levels. And that kind of leads me into the next thing I want to say is that I've definitely wanted to incorporate Waldorf education in elements of anthroposophy and things into my children's lives. I've been looking around on the internet and have been pretty, I don't know if I'm upset, but I've been pretty disappointed to see that the curriculum online is not free. And it should be free. I am deeply inspired by Waldorf education. I am a great supporter of Waldorf education. I do not like the elitism in Waldorf education. I do not like that it is not accessible to more people. And as I said before in the beginning of the video, it is accessible primarily to people of a certain financial bracket, which is people who have money, and especially in America, it's statistically across the board for years and years and years, those who are financially able to afford Waldorf education are of Caucasian descent. It's unacceptable in my eyes. Rudolf Steiner meant for a Waldorf education to be accessible and available to all children, and so yeah, the elitism in Waldorf education, the Waldorf community, and then as a result, really in America at least, really the non-diverse quality of it is disturbing to me, and so that was really, I guess, to go into that, that's really part of my experience with Waldorf education, where I grew up in America, in Massachusetts, especially, but it's really everywhere in America. That is this way. I was a little bit different, where actually my family, I myself grew up on the poverty line and sometimes below the poverty line. But there were people around us who really liked our family, really wanted to support our family, including my own family, extended family, and we were able to get a Waldorf education, pretty much on full scholarship. Our situation is very rare in that way. I have 3 sisters, and for us to be that poor and growing up and getting a Waldorf education is rare. And then, of course, being people of color, my mother is Caucasian. My mother is from New York, and she's Caucasian, and so I'm half. But I am a person of color. I am a woman of color, and then I was a girl of color once, and the intensity of of a certain type of racism where I live, which without going into too much detail, is liberal type of racism, which is a lot less direct and sometimes a lot less obvious, but especially when you're a person of color, you tend to come from a lot of deep culture and spirituality and heritage, and the racism really stems from a lot of ignorance about world culture and about world spirituality and heritage, and it really bleeds heavily into the way you're treated, and how much your identity is oppressed. Um, in a lot of the Waldorf communities in the U.S. and in my experience where I lived in Massachusetts, and it really has to do with the elitism, has to do with how expensive and privatized Waldorf education is. I am deeply disappointed at how much people want to make money online off the curriculum by selling the curriculum and not providing it for free. I have pretty much all my work from first grade till 12th grade. Probably as it gets older, especially in high school, maybe I've lost some things, but I'm gonna be looking through all those things, and my vision is to provide the curriculum here on my YouTube channel for free. That is the only way that this is acceptable, unless unless you're a teacher and you're working at a school, and you definitely deserve to be paid. But if you're going to have all the education online, it should be free. It should be fully and readily accessible to anyone who wishes to know about it. It shouldn't be so privatized. It shouldn't have so much elitism surrounding it. That's not what it was meant for. Now, my experience, what inspires me so much about Waldorf education is that is the deep insight into human beings, and then later on, for me, like scientific research and all that, like, for me, it legitimizes it. It doesn't necessarily legitimize it more. It does create a bridge for people, especially in Western society. But there has been scientific study to back up a lot of Waldorf education's approaches to things, and concerning the insight into the development of a human being, where human beings are essentially spiritual beings, and who are coming into this physical body, in this physical realm, and there are so many layers in a human being and how they develop, and so much of human beings' development, especially in the early stages, before puberty, is so very much a focus in integrating into your body. There's so much intellectual focus in Western society, which Waldorf education has, in many ways, scientifically proven in many studies and things, which is it's detrimental to especially younger children. That if there's too much head focus, then it pulls the energies away from the rest of the development, and it puts too much focus on intellectual intelligence as the only type of intelligence. When Rudolf Steiner and World of Education truly see the greatest wisdom and intelligence in a human being is actually a soulful one and a spiritual one, and the intellect is a tool. The intellect is a tool and extension of that. So World of Education tends to have a lot, especially in the younger years, there's a lot of things that are for integrative purposes. Human beings thrive soulfully and therefore physically off of being immersed in color, in form, in movement, in poetry, in story. Story is a big one. Story, imagery. Rudolf Steiner saw the importance of that was virtually lost in European society by the time he came on the scene, which was around or with Waldorf education and stuff, which was around World War One, I believe. No, the essential nature of story, and not just the intellectualized lessons of story, but that story has stories have powerful symbolic symbolism in them, which he also calls archetypes, that speak to the many different aspects of the human soul and psyche, and that helps the development of the human being be more integrative and more deep, and have that human being really grow roots in themselves and foundationally into the earth, and then reaching up to the heavens, reaching up spiritually. And so as a child, and then up until my teen years, being immersed in this kind of education where there's so much focus on as I was saying, on the arts, on movement, on speech, poetry, story. I tended to be even a different person, kind of a unique person anyway, and so I think I struggled a lot with some things. Just anyway, I'm not really sure teachers who could have met my needs 100%. Or I'm not sure they even exist. Maybe one exists someplace, but I know that what I did get was essential in my life, and was needed for me as a human being, to be given somewhat of a foundation, a spiritual and integrated physical foundation for being a human and a woman, and then growing up to be a woman on this earth. High school is a little bit of a different story, although it still goes with the same understanding, where when a person reaches puberty, then the intellect starts to really come into focus as a tool, a useful tool, and starting probably 12, 13, and maybe for some people a little earlier, but it's not that the intellect isn't used all the way through, but a lot of the focus in a young person is primal, and there's so much oppression of the primal, which is of primal intelligence, which is connected to nature. And if you look at nature, there's so much order and so much deep wisdom in the foundational aspects of who we are, which is in nature, right? And so so the intellectual focus begins to sort of take place. Steiner talks about developmentally in the human being, when you're preteen and then teenager, and then so the high school years kind of start to focus more on that, but there's still a focus in the order of spiritual or soulful, emotional, physical, that order of of cultivating a human being and helping a human being gain the tools for life. So it's not so much as they say, a filling of a pail, but the lighting of a flame. Becoming aware of oneself, so that when you meet life, when you approach life, it's like the ability to learn. You become a soulful person with the ability to learn. Rather than having facts, or being sort of like this bucket of facts that gets carried around or whatever, and then labeled as intelligent. It's are you soulfully intelligent? First of all, are you soulfully intelligent? Does that feed into emotional intelligence? Does that feed into then physical and intellectual intelligence? And with all those working together, are you a human being who can learn? Are you a human being who can be in life, process, and learn? So, having said all that, because of that, even with a lot of more sort of intellectually stimulating activities and stuff in high school, in the Waldorf education, you still do a lot of integrative things concerning art. Everything that you do, like, may have poetry linked to it, or art linked to it, or other activities linked to it. Field trips. Going on field trips in Waldorf education is really big. Actually experiencing what you're learning, and seeing and touching and feeling what you're learning. And so my overall experience with Waldorf education was extremely deep and positive and beneficial. I started off this video with a lot of other things, which I don't like about the social aspect of Waldorf education, especially where I grew up. But I think I've been to enough places in America and diverse states in America where it's kind of the same, everywhere, because Waldorf education tends to be expensive. So that's sort of an intro, I guess, to my experience with Waldorf education, and my thoughts on it. And I really have this goal in mind to pull out my curriculum from, especially from 1st through 12th, but also in kindergarten, and to provide it for free on here, for people to see what it's about. So thanks for watching, and God bless.